Hello and welcome to World Talks. I'm your host, Diana Skaya. As tensions rise between Ukraine and Hungary, Kyiv has expelled 2 Hungarian diplomats in direct response to what it calls an espionage operation uncovered in the country's west. Now, this diplomatic tit-for-tat follows Hungary's own move to expel Ukrainian diplomats, actions that underscore the deepening mistrust between the two neighbors. Now, with sensitive issues at play, including minority populations and ongoing war dynamics, what does this mean for regional stability and Ukraine's relations with the EU and NATO? Well, to find out and unpack these developments, I'm joined by Taras Kuzio, professor of political science, the National University of Kyiv-Mohyla Academy. Our guest has authored 38 book chapters and over 130 scholarly articles on Soviet, Eurasian, Russian, and Ukrainian politics. Good morning. Thank you so much for being with us here on World Talks today.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me.
Taras, so I want to ask you first, what really went down here? Just to explain, it seems to be a little of not so much conflicting reports, but what do you see as what could have taken place inside these embassies, and what are the long-term consequences of this exposure of this Hungarian spy network?
Well, it will increase, of course, the distrust in Hungary within the European Union and especially NATO circles. Hungary has become a Trojan horse for Russia inside Western institutions. There is no, of course, mechanism to expel a member from NATO or from the European Union, but Hungary, both in its domestic policies and in its foreign and security policy, is completely at odds with Western values, Western security interests, and so that long-term view, which has already existed, will now, I think, go into crisis mode about Hungary basically being the country that's bringing in Russian intelligence and Russian security service operations inside the West, inside European Union and NATO. From a Ukrainian point of view, I don't think it's that surprising. I'm sure that the Ukrainian security services were probably watching this for months, if not years, collecting information, collecting intelligence, so that they had a good argument to give to Brussels as to exactly what was going on. Apparently, what was the source of all of this was that Hungary was expecting Russia to quickly be victorious when it launched its invasion in February 22, and Hungary would have then tried to intervene and occupy Transcarpathia as part of the splitting up of Ukraine at that time when Ukraine was defeated.
Right, that was my next question to you, was that do you believe that Hungary's actions could be actually part of a broader strategy to gain influence, to increase its influence in the Carpathian region? Well, could it have been a trigger?
Yeah, Transcarpathia has, it did have a million and a half people before, and that's probably doubled now with internal refugees, the number. So the actual number of Hungarian minority is very small as a percentage of the overall Transcarpathian population. The Hungarian minority is about 150,000. So it's not a huge number. So this is a deeper problem than simply the Hungarian minority. It's part of a kind of a Hungarian irredentist nationalism that has brought back the trauma of the Treaty of Trianon after World War I, where lots of Hungarian territories were given to Slovakia, to Ukraine, to then Czechoslovakia, and then after World War II to Ukraine and to Romania. So this is a kind of a nationalism that has refused to accept its current borders, and that's where it's quite unusual. Because, for example, Poland also had conflicts with Ukraine over border areas, but that was resolved by the 1940s, in effect. And Poland and Ukraine have not had territorial border problems ever since. But in the Hungarian case, this has been revived, and so this makes it very, very unusual and more of a potential threat. But of course, Hungary is a small country, and it's not a military threat in that sense to Ukraine. It's just an attempt to cause problems with the Hungarian minority.
Taras, you mentioned a threat there. What steps do you think that Ukraine should take to strengthen counterintelligence, particularly in its border regions and where we have national minorities as well?
Well, in the western region of Ukraine, there are very few national minorities left because of what Stalin did with the exchanges of populations after World War II. For example, in Galicia, the Polish minority was deported by Stalin between 1944 and 46. So there's no real Polish minority left. Of course, the Jewish population was murdered by the Nazis. So the one really remaining national minority is the Hungarian, but it's a relatively small one. It's quite compact. Hungary or Hungarian nationalists like Prime Minister Orban has complained about Ukrainian educational policies. But I mean, the main complaint is that Hungarian minority have to learn the Ukrainian language. I don't think this is unusual. In any country where a national minority is based, they have to learn the local language. They have to learn the language of government. Otherwise, how can you live in that country? I mean, when Polish migrants come to Britain, they have to learn English, right? I mean, right. And if I was to go live in Poland, I'd learn Polish. So I don't think that's unusual. But they seem to think this is an intrusion into the rights of the Hungarian minority, which of course I don't think it is. So I don't think it's so much a major threat to Ukraine's territorial integrity because Hungary is a small power. I don't think its army is in great condition. But of course, this is very troubling from the viewpoint that this is basically doing something for Russia. It's not doing something which should be done amongst NATO and EU members.
Taras, so let me ask you this now. This incident took place. I mean, they're expelling each other's diplomats. So what's next? What happens next?
Well, there's going to be a toughening attitude on the part of Ukrainians towards Hungary. Ukraine has tried to meet some of Hungary's demands on national minority issues, national minority rights, which I don't think are really that bad in Ukraine because a Hungarian minority is so small. So the Ukraine position will, of course, toughen, and Ukraine will take its evidence to NATO, to Western intelligence services, and show them what Hungary is doing. This is unprecedented, that Hungary is undertaking work which is done by the Russian intelligence services. So I think this will have a major impact upon how Western countries, how Brussels will look upon Hungary, and that will of course be something that will be a plus for Ukraine, but very negative for Hungary.
So what are some options?
I can't imagine, for example, NATO members exchanging detailed or secret information with Hungary anymore. That will all end.
That was my question to you, is that what could exactly these NATO members and the EU, I mean Brussels, do in response to this if Hungary keeps, of course, keeping its brushy ties with Moscow, with Vladimir Putin? Isn't there something that NATO or the EU countries could do?
Well, inevitably this will mean that NATO members and Western intelligence services will no longer allow Hungary to have access to any confidential information because they simply would not trust that this information will then not go to Moscow. So Hungary's military and intelligence services will be frozen out of access to intelligence, of cooperation. Hungary will be a pariah state inside NATO and the Euro. I mean, it already is a pariah state inside the European Union, but now even inside NATO. I mean, it's interesting that, his ideology of Prime Minister Orban is very similar to US President Trump, but Trump has a very poor relationship with Orban as well. So Orban is a very isolated figure. And by the way, he's not just a stalking horse or a Trojan horse for Russia. He's a Trojan horse for China. The expansion of contacts and trade and economic and other cooperation has also expanded between Hungary and China. So Hungary's letting into as it were, the European Union and NATO, both Russia and China, at a time when China and Russia are obviously allied against the West.
Taras, on a bigger picture, do you think there is a risk of this, I mean, if we can call it a diplomatic crisis or a semi-diplomatic crisis that's unfolding, could it actually escalate into a broader regional instability in Central Europe?
Well, it depends what happens in Romania, maybe. If the Romanian elections, if the populist nationalist wins the elections, I hope not, that would then create a kind of an arc of this pro-Russian leaders from Fico in Slovakia to Orban, Hungary, and to Romania. That potentially is a crisis on the European Union and NATO's eastern flank. Potentially, but I mean, overall, Hungary has never been really, Hungary has always opposed the sending of military aid to Ukraine. So Hungary is not really involved in that whole field. So I don't see how this is going to impact upon EU and NATO military and security policy towards Ukraine, because Hungary has never been involved in that. But certainly it will create a view in Brussels that there is a rise of pro-Russian populist nationalism on the eastern flank of the EU and NATO, yes, and that potentially is something that Russia will exploit.
And finally, just very briefly, before we run out of time, I want to ask you about the Hungarian, I mean, I know you mentioned it a little bit in the beginning, but about the Hungarian minority, particularly in Transcarpathia. What are the potential implications for them if this really escalates, if these tensions do escalate?
Well, there've already been previously examples of where members of the minority have been recruited by Russian intelligence to undertake various kind of acts which try to blame Ukraine. So, for example, there were three of them, I think, caught last year, where they were going around spray painting anti-Hungarian statements and blaming that on Ukraine. So the attempts to incite violence, incite conflict, that will continue, of course, fueled by the Russians. I mean, it's really bizarre that a NATO member's military and intelligence would be working with Russia on this. But it's such a small national minority, very isolated, and I think in the mountainous areas of Transcarpathia. So as a kind of threat to the rest of Transcarpathia, they don't really pose that, because they don't amount to 40-50% of the population. It's probably about 10-15%,
right.
If that.
Thank you.
It's not. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Taras Kuzio, Professor of Political Science at the National University of Kyiv-Mohyla Academy, for all your input and insight with us here this morning on World Talks.
Thank you.
And that's all for this edition of World Talks here on TVP World. I'm Diana Skaya. Thanks for watching.